Okay, so when I say the name Mansa Musa, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's gold, right? Just mountains of it. He's always called the richest person in history. But you know what? That incredible story of his wealth, that's really just the hook. Today, we're going to uncover the real treasure of the Mali Empire. And trust me, it's not what you think.
I want you to just picture this for a second. It's 1324. This enormous caravan shows up in Cairo, and its leader, Mansa Musa, just starts handing out gold. And not just a little bit, so much gold that his visit sent shockwaves through the entire global economy. This quote says it all. I mean, 12 years later, people were still talking about it. That wasn't just a visit, that was an economic earthquake.
And this chart? Wow, this chart is unbelievable. It shows you exactly what happened. Before Musa got there, the gold market in Cairo was totally stable. Then he arrives, and his generosity, just the sheer scale of it, floods the market and sends the value of gold plummeting for more than a decade. I mean, think about that. He literally gave away so much wealth that he broke the economy of one of the most powerful cities on Earth at the time.
So, this is the big question we have to ask. Was this just an incredible act of charity, or was it something else? A calculated move? The story of the gold is what gets your attention, for sure, but it's not the real story. And for us, this is where things get really interesting.
Because here's the thing. What allowed him to command that level of wealth wasn't just access to some mines. It was a sophisticated, brilliantly designed system of government. The gold wasn't the source of his power, it was the proof of it. So let's peel back the layers and look at how that system was actually built. Right, so to understand the money, you first have to understand the government. This was not an empire built on the whims of one all-powerful guy. Nope. It was built on a constitutional framework that was, and I'm not exaggerating, centuries ahead of its time. This timeline really puts it all into perspective. Mansa Musa takes the throne in 1312. That's almost a full century after the empire's foundational constitution was created. He didn't build this thing from the ground up. He inherited a sophisticated and incredibly stable state with really deep institutional roots. And this Korukan Fuga, it's just fascinating. It was established way back in 1235, and it created a system of checks and balances. It had a federal structure and, this is the crucial part, a deliberative assembly to actually constrain the emperor's power. This wasn't an absolute monarchy in the way we usually think of them. It was basically a constitutional federation. And this table here breaks down that power-sharing structure beautifully. The Jabara, or the Great Assembly, wasn't just a room full of the emperor's buddies. No way. It was a council representing the key pillars of the entire empire. You had the ruling clans, religious leaders, vital economic groups like the artisan castes, and even the griots, who were basically living libraries and keepers of the law. This whole setup made sure that all these diverse interests had a real voice at the highest level. So, when you put it all together, you have this incredible system in place. You've got constitutional checks on the ruler's power, a flexible legal system that worked for a diverse population, a clear administration, and a tax system that efficiently captured all that immense wealth from trade. All of these pieces, working together, created the engine that powered Mansa Musa's legendary journey. Okay, so with that powerful foundation in place, let's go back and look at that famous Hajj again. Because it wasn't just a religious pilgrimage, it was a meticulously planned diplomatic mission, really a masterclass in soft power. And here's where the strategic genius really comes in. The Malian army was an absolute powerhouse in West Africa, no doubt, but it couldn't project military force all the way to the Mediterranean. So Mansa Musa played a different card. He used his empire's immense wealth, its cultural prestige, and its religious legitimacy to command respect on the world stage. It was brilliant. And oh man, was it a success. This was never just about spending money. It was about building a network. He secured formal diplomatic recognition from the major powers of the region, he forged economic ties that would last for decades, and he built intellectual bridges that put Mali right at the center of the Islamic world. This quote just nails the return on that investment perfectly. Yeah, the cost was astronomical, but what he gained was priceless. Recognition, relationships, and a global reputation. It was a geopolitical masterstroke, all disguised as a pilgrimage. But the story doesn't stop there. In fact, maybe the most important part of the whole journey was what Mansa Musa brought back with him, and it reveals what he truly, deeply valued. So he left with all this gold, right? But he returned with something far more valuable. People. Brains. He came back with the brightest minds he could possibly find. Architects, jurists, astronomers. He wasn't just spending his wealth, he was investing it, converting it into knowledge. And that investment, it paid off on a scale that is just mind-blowing. He poured resources into the city of Timbuktu, and at its peak, the University of Sankore there was home to 25,000 students. Just let that sink in for a minute. This was not some small local school. It was one of the great intellectual centers of the entire medieval world. And of course, all those students needed books. Timbuktu's libraries held an estimated 700,000 manuscripts. 700,000! Covering every single field of human knowledge you can imagine. This was basically the Library of Alexandria for West Africa, a true storehouse of global knowledge. And just look at this curriculum. It was as advanced and as comprehensive as any university on Earth at the time. We're talking astronomy, medicine, law, history, sciences. A serious hub of scholarship. This is what Mansa Musa was building. The gold was just the foundation. But this was the legacy. You know, when you dig into it, the real story of Mansa Musa completely reframes so many outdated ideas about the past. It proves what this quote says so powerfully. Africa has always been a central player in world history, not a footnote to it. It had sophisticated governments, powerful economies, and world-class intellectual traditions. And so that leaves us with one last question to think about. Mansa Musa is famous for his gold, but his true, lasting legacy is the knowledge he built in Timbuktu. Which really makes you wonder, what is the true measure of a civilization's wealth? Is it the gold sitting in its treasury, or is it the knowledge sitting in its libraries?